The European Parliament has condemned Turkey's removal of elected mayors, calling for their reinstatement and urging sanctions against officials responsible for the dismissals. Syrian Kurds take part in the Munich Security Conference for the first time, bringing the fight against ISIS and regional security issues to the table. Iraqi authorities have uncovered a mass grave in Fallujah containing the remains of civilians executed during Saddam Hussein's rule. Nearly half of the families affected by Turkey's February 2023 earthquakes continue to face critical challenges in accessing food, healthcare and housing, according to a new report. Learn more with Medya News. The European Parliament has strongly condemned Turkey's dismissal of elected mayors and the practice of appointing government trustees, calling it a violation of democratic principles and fundamental rights. The resolution, introduced on Wednesday and backed by several political groups, calls on Turkey to reinstate the dismissed mayors, particularly from pro-Kurdish and opposition parties, and to stop appointing unelected officials. The move to remove at least 10 mayors since the 2024 local elections, including Abdullah Zeydan, the mayor of Van, has drawn international criticism. Zeydan's removal and subsequent prison sentence highlights Turkey's growing authoritarianism. The resolution calls for immediate sanctions against Turkish officials under the EU's global human rights sanctions regime. MEPs argue that these actions are politically motivated and undermine democratic governance in Turkey. The European Parliament's condemnation of Turkey's practices marks a significant shift in EU policy. This is the first time the EP has called for sanctions against Turkey, underlining the EU's commitment to defending democratic values and human rights. Syrian Kurds will participate in the 61st Munich Security Conference, or MSC 2025. This first participation marks a key diplomatic development for Syrian Kurds, as the AANES is not formally recognized by Syria or most international actors, despite its significant role in the fight against ISIS. The AANES delegation will discuss critical security issues, particularly the risks posed by ISIS and the role of the Syrian Democratic Forces in maintaining stability. The AANES will be represented by Dr. Yunus Bahram, a Kurdish politician and intellectual who will speak on behalf of the Democratic Autonomous Administration, known for its model of governance based on democracy, gender equality, and local self-governance. Our participation is an important step to ensure that North and East Syria are part of the global security dialogue, Bahram told Medya News, stressing the importance of voicing the region's concerns. Nechavan Barzani, president of the Kurdistan region of Iraq, or KRI, will also attend the MSC to address security and political challenges affecting the KRI and the wider Middle East. He is expected to hold bilateral meetings with world leaders to discuss the KRY's role in regional security, counter-terrorism efforts, and the political future of the region. The MSC 2025 will address critical global security issues such as the ongoing war in Ukraine, the conflicts in Gaza and Sudan, and counter-terrorism measures. The participation of both AANES and KRI underlines the growing role of Kurdish political actors in global security discussions. Iraqi authorities have discovered a mass grave near Fallujah, believed to contain the remains of victims executed during Saddam Hussein's Ba'athist regime. The discovery follows the arrest of Sa'adun Sabri al-Qaisi, a former senior officer in Hussein's government, who is suspected of the murder of Muqtada al-Sadr's parents. The grave contains some 25 victims with signs of torture, 5 of whom are believed to have been executed at the site. Investigations are underway to identify the victims, who may be linked to the family of Muqtada al-Sadr, an influential Iraqi Shiite cleric. The discovery is part of Iraq's wider efforts to address atrocities committed by the Ba'ath regime, with ongoing mass grave exhumations aimed at bringing justice to the victims' families. It follows a series of mass grave discoveries in recent months that shed light on the brutality of the regime and its impact on Iraq's social and political landscape. These discoveries continue to underline the lasting scars left by Saddam Hussein's rule. 2 years after the devastating 2023 earthquakes in Turkey, nearly half of the affected population still lacks regular access to food, and promised housing projects remain incomplete. A report by the Turkish Medical Association and the Union of Health and Social Service Workers reveals that only 44.3% of families have reliable access to food, and the housing situation remains dire, with only 1,580 of the 452,983 promised houses delivered. The nutritional situation is particularly alarming, with only 13.7% of children under 5 consuming enough milk, and 14.4% of children under 5 in Adıyaman suffering from stunting. Mental health problems have also risen sharply, with PTSD rates soaring, particularly in Adıyaman. Access to healthcare remains inadequate, with over 100,000 people in Hatay and nearly 44,000 in Adıyaman without a family doctor. Disruptions to education and unsafe working conditions in the reconstruction process contribute to the ongoing crisis, while air quality continues to exceed safe limits. The report highlights the urgent need for more support and faster reconstruction efforts to address these dire conditions.